Hello?
You guys are now.
Hello? Good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening. Hello.
Good evening, Toshin. Hope you're all awake for this one. Right. Toshin, everybody. I'm your host, Rocco, your secret SecGen. And today we'll be starting our week 2 of Fandom February. Today I'm joined by my co-host. Kulai, would you like to introduce
Hi.
yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Kulai, just Kulai, and I will be co-hosting with Rocco here.
Hi, just Kulai. Yeah. Today we'll be having a couple exciting talks again, just like last week, and I'm sure you are all just so excited. But Kulai, would you like to do the honors of introducing our first talk?
I'd be most delighted. So to talk about the anime and manga industry is Dr. Cheng Chua. Karl Ian Cheng Chua received his master in Japanese studies from the National University of Singapore and doctorate in social science from Hitotsubashi University. He's currently a visiting professor at the Graduate School of Social Sciences, Hitotsubashi University. He was a Japan Foundation Japanese Studies Fellow, and he is part of the editorial board of the Social Sciences Diriman and East Asian Journal of Popular Culture. Everyone, give a big round of applause for Dr. Cheng Chua.
Hi. Thanks to Toshin for actually inviting me. This is actually a lecture that I give to my students here in Japan on popular culture, because as most of you who are fans and consumers of popular culture, particularly anime and manga, but also includes cosplay and so on, we tend to look at it from the lens of consumption without realizing how producers are actually involved in it. And that's why one of the things that I wish to engage with a lot of you is the business part. And why do I work with precarity? As my introduction has stated, a lot of you tend to like to suffer for your art without realizing that in the present day and age, education included, we don't see it becomes this very unusual space, right? Because you enter into these industries without actually realizing your work hours, how much you're earning, what are your asks, as opposed to other businesses and industries. And that's why I sort of tend to label these people as precariats. And this is working within the context of precarity, right? Just to give you further concepts, especially in Japan, we're not just we tend to look at precarity as just someone who's poor, right? But if you delve deeply into Japanese studies and to Japanese society, the precariat is basically someone who's in a space where it is not necessarily comfortable. So like students, right? You have allowances, you have money, but you don't really have enough to to do everything that you want to do. So you have all of these types of people, such as aging old people who have social security but they can't really take care of themselves, young people who probably are being underpaid and overworked, or even orphans, women particularly, who there is still a gender pay gap within Japan itself. So that means if I'm a man, I get paid better than a woman, which reflects further in the creatives industry as well, right? NEET basically are people who are college graduates who prefer not to stay in stable jobs. And then you have the hikikomori, or the socially withdrawn. So there are several labels to this. Why does this become a problem? We've seen, and you've seen, a lot of this type of themes that are being glorified not only in anime and manga, but also in movies and any form of Japanese media, right? If you're poor, yes, it's suffering, but there seems to be some light into this tunnel. It's sort of romanticized in anime and with themes that look at anime and manga itself, right? That realities which we don't actually see, especially if you don't follow your manga and anime artists in Twitter, particular breaks, right? Because of overwork. Some of which include One Punch Man, despite the fact that he's supposed to be very successful, actually took a break after his successful run. He also had the long break that Hunter x Hunter actually did as well, and including Bleach, which just recently came back, right? Particularly for the anime. And part of the problems that exist within this space now is the problems that suffering can also lead towards pressure to one's mental health, so much so that there are documentation commit suicide. Which, however, why do they have these types of social pressures? Is because of, in one aspect, the work hours become awful, so much so that A1 here, this one, if you're familiar with most of the A1 anime that's there, they overwork their animators for about 600 hours a month, which we tend to think as normal. But once again, you have to look at creatives not as something special, but also as something that is part of any type of industry, right? And that's why this creates a problem. Madhouse, on the other hand, while they work their animators for about 393 hours a month, they reported one of their animators just going home, on their way home, then just collapsing. But again, that's part of, those are part of the issues of overworking, right? So where does the story then begin? Why is there this myth of how Japan, how the creatives, particularly anime and manga, becomes a big thing? This is where sort of you have to look at it from a long perspective, where in the 1960s, Japan actually had now a large increase in population. This is the first time that they will reach around 100 million, but 100 million people. And what does this mean? It basically means that you now have a large readership, a domestic population, which now has the capacity to consume whatever creatives that will be there. This will be added to the idea that education in Japan was pretty much there was actually public education, which meant that you are now dealing with a population that is well read and literate, which means that anything and everything that you sort of take out, publish or show within the Japanese space would then be actively consumed. This also includes the idea that they had a monolingual education, which meant that everyone pretty much could read anything. So that means, in other words, we're now dealing here with a very, very strong purchasing power domestically, which did not necessarily need an export market. So that's why in these early periods, that's what times when you saw, I don't know if you call it the golden age. I don't like citing Tezuka Osamu, but he seems to pop up there. Like that's where you then see the age of where the boom of anime and manga comes in. Why? Simply because more people are now able to watch them, more people are now able to read them, right? So what happens? From the 1930s to the 1980s, take note, this is a large time, right? What you had here was, if you're a manga artist, let's start with manga first, you're basically being paid 5 yen per page, right? Which meant if you're a writer and 50 yen So what does that mean? That meant that the more pages that you are able to churn out, if you're able to churn out 10 pages as a writer, you are actually going to earn much more than a regular person than a regularly salary man. So that was why during that time, creatives was actually a very, very great space simply because it did pay for their worth, right? And at the same time, it allowed them to now be able, and unlike the salaryman, which had an age restriction and so on, you now had manga artists that were debuting when they were young, so much so that a lot of the manga artists could afford to then build houses. So in other words, you're now developing this dream. A dream that, take note, was there from the 1930s to the 1980s with a very robust economy, right? And that was why during this time, you now had a lot of comic magazines that were there. These are just samples of them, where if you're familiar with how Japanese publishers were then releasing their manga, they start first with the phone books, where untrained artists can just submit and then hopefully gain popularity. And if they get more popularity, they can then be published into a volume of their own, right? So in other words, what you then created here was a very nice dream, that if I was in creatives, if I was able to do this, then I could have enough money to do so. But not everyone's story can sell, right? So no matter, because depending on what type of person you are, what type of creatives you are you creating for, let's say, your readers? Or like I think Spy Family does that, right? Because he hates his work because it's not what he wanted to do. Or are you being a selfish artist, which basically draw for yourself? So what happens? Part of this economy then also includes an interesting second market. So if you're not able to sell in this market, they had used bookstores or book lending shops. Which was part of a very old economy then. And what does this mean? You sell unsellable books to this business so that kids can then, borrow it, and then you still earn an income stream. So what happens? This entire economy then allows the manga artist to then survive, whether you sell or whether you don't, right? But what are the realities of the space? Unfortunately, what we tend to forget here is that creatives is a very difficult industry because you have to create, you have to challenge yourself with new stories, and especially when you read your favorite anime and manga, if the artist or the writer just makes a tiny slip, that can then cause people not following the series altogether. You're also now competing with other artists within this space, right? Furthermore, what we tend to also forget is that remember that the population then was quite high, which meant that the domestic markets had a lot of purchasing power. But sooner or later, Japan's population would then collapse. So what does that mean? Your domestic markets are no longer able to have the same would not have the same purchases as you'd have before. When you look at this, you'll see now the declining graph of the four major shonen titles. Red is Jump, blue is Magazine, yellow is Sunday, and green is Champion, which then tells you about their market shares from 1990s to 2006. Although there's going to be a different trend now. But nonetheless, what do you then see here? What you see here is a market that is now decreasing. So do you keep on continuing in this market? Or do you change it slightly? right? If we were a business, then we would downsize, but you don't see this downsizing, especially since you consume X number of titles in a season, right? So what happens? What most of the manga publishing industries do is they don't increase your salary. So what happens? You're still probably going to earn around 5 yen to 10 yen per page. Which is a 1930s to 1980s thing, as opposed to sort of gradually increasing your salaries per page, right? And that then results into those problems that we saw. But not only that, right? In order for them to then survive, what happens here is you then have to make more stories, right? So this is just something I got, I think, from Twitter, where you now have someone that a schedule of a typical manga artist. Here, Shibashi Hiroshi, where there will be times that he doesn't sleep. He's basically just working. He doesn't eat a lot. So technically, what happens here? You're then creating. So despite the fact that you might be a high-selling artist, you are actually suffering in terms of your own, daily life, because you are trying to push towards your own creativity, right? And take note that creativity is not easy, right? New stories. And in most situations, a lot of these artists would not just, if you're lucky enough to have a very good single title, then you can continue with that and have an income stream. But in most situations, a lot of these artists will have multiple titles, which means that you're then, trying to develop your story, multiple stories at the same time, and hence the idea of being a precariat. Right? You do have money, you do have work, but you're then suffering simply because of this work, right? And that now creates a problem. So what about anime, right? Anime, on the other hand, will be a very different animal altogether. While we think that Japanese anime is so like cool and wow and so on and so forth, if you compare it to, let's say, Western animation, the difference here is the difference here in terms of industry is why are there so many titles that Japan can actually churn out, is because they try to create anime with as little what do you call that? with as little
Frames?
frame
Or
as you can. Yes. So thank you. So if an average animation can probably have like 100 frames per second and so on, anime would probably do it with 11. Right. So that means that's why you're able to then have a lot of you can churn a lot, but you can also underpay your animators simply because you're just drawing 11 instead of the 100 whatever, right? Thank you for that. And what does this then mean? The first thing that we then have to look at is how much capital does the your anime studios have? Okay, just to give you an idea, right? I give you a comparison with the multinational companies of Pixar and Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth, if you're not familiar with them, is the animators for Ruby. Look at how much their capital is, right? And look at how little titles they actually produce, right? So it tells you that at least these people kind of pay their animators well, considering that this is their main capital, like large amount of yen. We remove from the picture Toei simply because Toei is a very old company. But nonetheless, I just put it there for you to have an idea. But if you compare it, Toei is basically at par with Rooster Teeth, right? In terms of capital. Considering that they're an old market and they still produce a lot of animation. But your favorite Right? Your favorite anime. I unfortunately did not include Mappa because I don't have data for Mappa yet. But A1 is functioning under 100 million yen or 50 million pesos. That's for the entire company to run. And when you then translate it downwards, what does that then do? Some people will basically be paid less than others, right? Because it's not just about animators, but it also includes your seiyuu, it also includes your editors and whatnot and so on. But I've included here all of these people. Oh, okay, sorry. The other one that is also an exemplary is Ghibli, and that's why you notice that Ghibli doesn't produce a lot of anime, right? Because Hayao Miyazaki still functions under old style forms of frames animation, but at least it gives you an idea of how much money they have. I got this again from Twitter, but it gives you realities, of course, to those that are familiar with anime, you get an idea of how much they're actually being paid, right? An animator is basically being paid around 110,000 yen per month, and the lowest income of a salaryman right now is supposed to be 135,000 yen. So in other words, you're underpaid for overwork, right? And just to give you a comparison, a college student that does part-time work actually earns an income of around 200,000 yen. So it then tells you that for your craft, you're actually earning so little, right? Frita are basically people that just work wherever. If you are lucky that you become the best seiyuu all out there, then you'll probably get a lot of money. But how long will that take for you to actually be into that named space, right? So in other words, yes, there are people that within this creatives industry that are getting paid a lot, but the part of the problem that you then have there is when will that happen, right? You're selling a dream which might not necessarily be a reality, an immediate reality. In other words, you're probably going to be working within this space, hoping that you'll get that big break, and struggling within this space as well, in the hopes that your art can translate to something that's gonna make you be happy for yourself. So the first section of my talk basically just looks with the idea that, so what is now part of the problem of the anime and manga industry? We do have an anime and manga industry, and unfortunately, it is an anime and manga industry that still doesn't want to export its products outside of Japan. It's still relating to a domestic market, which is now paying at domestic costs, and it's now trapped within the frames of an income stream that is from the 1960s to the 1980s. In the recent times, and take note that if you search even in our own local industries, right? If you search how much does a comic creator earn, you won't find those numbers, right? But if you search for like how much does a consultant earn, how much does any other industry earn, you'll basically have at least a learned information, right? And that's one of the sections. Allow me to skip these simply because of time. So where does this now come to cool Japan, right? So part of the problems that I then place here is, sure, you're now having Japanese creatives that are now struggling, that are now precarious. But remember that part of what Cool Japan does is it's selling to us, and that's why you're Toshin, right? You're all weebs that like anime, manga, cosplay, and whatnot, and you love Japan in the hopes that you can enter in that industry in one way or another, or enter in creatives. So they're now selling the dream outside of Japan itself. And you'll be able to see a lot of this through competitions, right? You've joined a lot of these competitions, where they sell that dream team. Manga competitions have always been part of its popularity. You'll also have these cosplay competitions that are hosted by whoever that sell to you like, wow, I can be a professional cosplayer, right? And so on. So they're selling that industry to you without really telling you, yes, it is a professional industry, but it doesn't tell you the numbers, right? It tells you the idea that sure, you have to suffer for it, right? And I'm just using I'm just using the example of manga because it's the one that has been quite successful in going abroad. This is the this is, if I'm not mistaken, the Kaigai Manga International Manga competition, and it tells you where are the countries who have won the most, right? In the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, we have 27 winners. But in those, oh, sorry. No, this is Hong Kong. Maybe it's the 360, and one of them is Indonesia, one of them is Singapore, and so on. But what now becomes a sussy thing for this is, with all of these new talent inside that had won in these manga competitions, why aren't we reading them, right? Why can't we, you barely see big break manga artists that are foreigners within the ones that you read, right? So where does this now create more problems, right? Oops. Yeah. I think there you go. This is where you then see the part of the nasty sides of of any industry comes in. You sell a dream. Okay, maybe you're not able to enter that space simply because you're not trained in it. So you'll now have a lot of these schools that will sell you courses like be a seiyuu, be a manga artist, pay us tons of money so that you can then be trained by Japanese industry professionals in the hopes that you can get your big break here in Japan, right? There are a lot of these universities or schools that actually sell this, right? And sure, fine. If you're Japanese, you are able to negotiate the precarities of these spaces, but take note that if you are, let's say, if you're right, you're going to pay what, 1,000,000 pesos just to be able to come here. Are you able to negotiate the society in general? And if your big break doesn't come in, so what do, right? You've wasted a lot of that money. So in other words, it creates a secondary precarity. It creates now a secondary precariat in the case of foreign exchange students that now come to Japan to try to live their dreams in engaging in the space, right? And of course, it does. There's another one. This is Kadokawa, right? I forget the yeah, Kadokawa does an interesting model. They've done this for China, Taiwan, Singapore, where they basically think of it as like Pixiv. Think of it as where you basically post your works. People read it for free, and then if you get, if you have enough readership, if enough followers, then Kadokawa might invest in you. But that then tells you a very, well, to me, while it gives you an interest, while it gives you a space, take note that you begin in this world working for free, right? So, and this is one of the biggest commercial publishers. that are there, right? And then you now have to sell yourself in the hopes that you get published by Kadokawa. But there are some successes that have happened. One of the successes that were there are for Kadokawa is FSC, if you're familiar with her. Singaporean manga artist that was able, well, but even before she entered the Kadokawa project, she was already a very popular manga artist. A lot of people were already following her. So whether Kadokawa had a break in her, had something to do with her, we don't know. But nonetheless, we chart it as a success. You have other people there. You have Ossa, who is a Swedish comic artist that basically is pigeonholed to this idea that, oh, I'm gonna draw about, what a Swedish woman looks and her foibles in Japan itself. So, there are some successes, but they're still far and few in between, right? So in other words, it's not necessarily that you won't get your break, but what this basically does is it sort of pushes the idea that, yay, I want to be like these people. Where are the further problems? Okay. We further go to something much more black and deep webs. This is where, that's why when I was still with Japanese studies program, we tend to not promote these types of study in Japan programs which allow you to pay, simply because these are like money-making industries where they're basically selling you the dream, right? You go to Japan, you study Japanese language, and hopefully you're able to work. And part of the problems that you have within this space is that if you can't afford to pay your tuition there, then you can just work in service industry, which they'll help you to do, right? So what happens? Sure, fine. You're living your Japanese dream, but remember, a lot of this work is pretty much blue collar work, service industries. So, in the end, yes, they do pay, but they don't get enough. You're basically creating further precarity for yourself, because not only are you now entering a space, a country to which you have difficulty negotiating with beyond your fandom, right? But you're now trying to you're now in debt, because in order to be there, you have to pay for your rent, your tuition, and so on and so forth. And they give these types of data, right? So that however you can do this, and so on. So it tells you that sure, it's supposed to be achievable, but where is now this problem? To me, part of the problem here is, yes, it's selling the dream. And why do I give this talk to my students is not to stop you from dreaming, okay? That's not the point. I'm a Debbie Downer in terms of this, but the reality is that you have to enter in this space with information. In other words, it's not about just entering it, realizing that, yes, I have to suffer for my craft, but rather you enter in this space already realizing, how will I now mitigate my suffering? Right? You have to then make, or at least ask these questions in the same way that when you work, when you apply for a job in the future, you do ask these questions. How much is my salary? How much work do I do? You don't ask that with creatives, right? You're just so happy that you can then work in this industry. And that shouldn't be a thing. You should treat creatives in the same way as a professional industry itself. I think that's it for me. Thank you. So if you have questions or clarifications, feel free to, the floor is open for questions if you have. Thanks.
Yes, as Jabel said, pachi pachi pachi. Everyone, I'd like to again give a round of applause for our first host for week 2, Dr. Cheng Chua.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much. And I suppose that for the Q&A section, we can now open up the Slido so that we can more officially read out questions for our host.
Mhm.
We will be flashing the Slido right now.
Okay.
But I suppose for now we can start with questions from the hosts. For given your own studies in Japan, how would you describe your own experiences transferring there as a student? I suppose would be a good place to start.
Sorry, transferring what?
Studying in Japan, how would you describe your own experiences?
Okay, the difference here is for me, like a lot of the things that we promote in Japanese studies program in Ateneo is do exchange programs, but remember that we vet our programs. In other words, you come here, you take courses, and then you earn credits for it. So in other words, we're dealing with legit people. So that we sort of protect you from all of this black industries, because in any type of industry that's going to be black. So in my case, when I did my PhD here, it was under the Japanese government with MEXT. And hence, whatever problems there are going to be, there are at least safety nets, right? And it was very clear to me I was going to get X amount of money for my education, right? It's very different because I had former students, I'm not sure if they're here, that they paid to be SEIU. They want to be SEIU. They pay for these SEIU schools, and some of them, sure, you get that pedigree, you go to a SEIU school in Japan, but they then become SEIU for voiceovers for games in the Philippines and so on and so forth. But remember, you have to then balance this, right? How much are you spending to how much you're getting, right? So, and that's where I'm grounding it in, because is the training in Seiyu schools that good that you can't get it here in the Philippines? And take note that you're not just going to Japan, you're paying for your rent, you're paying for your food, you're paying for a lot of things, so that's a lot of money out, right? So that's why those are the things that I caution. So on our case, anything that the school sort of promote is relatively safe. But why I do these lectures for my classes as well, especially here, is I have exchange students when I ask them, like, why are you here? Oh, I want to be a manga artist. And like, are you sure, right? Do you know that how you're going to live here, right? And they then make the suggestions like, oh, I can live life, eating just bread. And I'm like, wow, what a sad life you're going to live. Right? So, I mean, suffering has its limitations. And, you come to a space so that you can at least not impose that suffering on yourself.
Thank you. That was actually very, I suppose, personally surprising learning about other students pursuing voiceover work there in Japan. I hadn't considered that before, and it was very, again, surprising.
Yeah, well, kasi diba, parang they say na, oh, especially if you're, in Toshin, I don't know the names of all of these very famous seiyu. I just watch them, right? But if your fandom is that immense, you'll probably already know this person went to this school, and hence you think that you're going to be able to do that as well. But take note, part of the problem here is, number one, these are Japanese. Sure, fine. But you're also a foreigner. You then have to deal with, language proficiencies, whether people are whether there will be manga studios here, or sorry, anime studios that would even hire a foreigner. That's another thing that you have to deal with. So in other words, it's not stopping you from doing so, but at least being able to study all of this. so that once you come here, you're not just gonna be like all of those, oh, I'm suffering, I don't have money, what will I do, and struggle, right?
Mm. Yeah. Getting into the entertainment industry in general.
Yeah, yeah,
God,
yeah.
it always seems so complicated.
Yeah. And we also have that, especially in the local comics industry as well. When you see all of these comic artists, like, oh, I want to draw like this person and so on. But when you go to Comic Cat and you talk to these artists and ask them how much are they earning, most of the time they're not earning a lot, right?
Even just for
Mhm.
us amateur voiceover artists.
Yeah, exactly. So in other words, and remember, I'm not stopping you from doing that dream, right? But at the very
Mm.
least, once you know your industry, once you know how much you're being paid, you are then able to say, okay, how will I then supplement my income if this is my work, right? Instead of like, okay, let's just do 100% with this one. Okay. And if I'm not correct me if I'm wrong, voiceover in the Philippines is not yet as sophisticated as we'd like it to be. Because remember, voiceovers in a sophisticated industry is not just for anime, movies, but it also includes gaming. You can also do announce work for products and so on. So in other words, you're supposed to then have multiple income streams.
Yeah,
And that's why Seiyu here can earn a lot,
you're right
even if
about
they
that.
don't get paid. So if your space is limited, right? I don't think we have a sophisticated
Usually
game industry, right?
for that
Which
kind of thing.
still some of your bread and butter can actually go into as well. Then that's one income stream that's gone from you, diba?
All right. Um,
Mm.
I suppose we can start with the questions from the audience. For the first question, overall, would you say how would you feel about, is it worth working in Japan for non-Japanese? For our first question.
Parang, the interesting thing here, and that's why I only focus on creatives, is if you work in Japan, okay. So if we're gonna do real talk, Japanese salaries are not good compared to multinational companies. But it doesn't stop you from wanting to work in your dream jobs. Like I want to work for Niantic, I want to work for Nintendo and so on, if that's your thing, right? However, the guarantee, at least in Japan, is they have the baseline salary. So as long as you're earning 200,000 per month, it gives you something to live decently, right? In any industry. So those are things that you first have to ask. How much am I earning? And what are the benefits that you're getting? Creatives don't usually give you those numbers. Like you just jump in and then they won't even tell you how your hours are. You're just gonna say like, okay, we want you to draw this, but if 5 pages will take you if 5 pages of very well drawn work will take you a month, you're not gonna earn a lot of income for that, right? Because creatives, especially for manga, it's in per page, not per month thing. So yeah, so in other words, in other industries, yes, as long as it's clear, then go for it. Or if you want to jump into creatives, then jump into really grounding, asking these asks so that you're at least clear. And to sort of compare it, that's why there are some industries, comic industries, comic industries, why some of the people are actually doing well is because they're not moving to the US, right? They're here, their rent is Filipino rent. Their food is Filipino priced food, which is currently now expensive, but it's still there. But they're getting paid poorly, but in dollars or whatever. So you have to be clear with those work environments for yourself as well. So it doesn't stop you, but as long as you have learned decisions in terms of moving into that.
So there's actually a better system for it. For the next two questions, I'll be handing the floor over to my co-host Kulai.
Sure.
Yeah, so delving into more about the creative industry. So a question here says, asks, that I heard from my game dev class that creatives in general get paid less than other industries. So is this problem worse in Japan if it is so?
Yes. But yun nga parang it's I do this lecture not just to talk about the problems of Japan, but the problems of creatives in general. Simply because if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a voice actor, if you want to do anything, no one tells you how much it costs, right? You just jump into it and they'll tell you, oh, okay, we're going to pay you 500 pesos for this recording. And you don't even have a comparison. Is 500 pesos good or not, right? If you compare it to, let's say, non-creatives, right? If you work as a nurse, if you work as a banker, if you work as a teacher, it's very clear that if I'm getting paid 20,000 pesos a month, it's not a lot, but at least it's average. You're able to weigh it, right? But part of the problems of creatives then is, especially in our School of Humanities, where they sell you that dream and stuff like, oh, I have a friend that's able to sell 100,000 pesos for one painting. Yay. But, what you don't count there is how many hours is that you painted, how much paint you used for it, materials, and so on. So in the end, your 100,000 pesos, what do you get from it? 2,000 pesos for your art. Diba? So it's that. So it's not necessarily just the idea that you should stop doing creatives, but you who are wanting to engage in this now have to ask these questions, clear questions, because you have to also determine your labor, your rights as well, instead of just working within this idea that I have to suffer for my art, I have to spend so much hours just to produce this, right? Because it's my baby. You have to put credit to yourselves, especially since it is one of the industries, legitimate industries within this space.
So, because of this over romanticization of suffering for my craft, could you identify more concrete factors that contribute to this phenomena and how we can mitigate this?
Okay, one, I think one of the things that's important is that you have to talk to each other, right? Because that's one of the things that's one of the, especially if you are currently immersed in this industry, like ayun, like one of you does voiceovers. How much do you actually get paid, right? And do you think it's actually enough? So much so that if other friends are wanting to do this, you can then say, oh, you're actually getting underpaid. We do this as well for Japanese studies, especially for translation work, interpretation. When the language teachers of the Japanese studies program are then hired for translation, they don't know how much they're going to charge. They charge what? 500 pesos an hour, which is very, very below minimum wage. Just to give you an idea, because I have a PhD, and I'm kind of erai. So I charge 20,000 pesos an hour, right? For my translation. So at least it's clear. So much so that when I pass it on to someone that doesn't have a PhD, that just has language skills, remember it's a skill, and they say, oh, it's 500 pesos, you tell them it's not worth it. At the very least, charge minimum, actually more than minimum wage, because minimum wage just entails labor, hard labor, right? Remember that you're dealing with skill, and skill is something that you craft with yourself. You're drawing your language capacity, your voice, how you intonate your voice, and whatever, right? So that's something that you cannot just cheapen yourself, but that's something that now has to be done within amongst yourselves, because basically unfortunately you also you are also part of the dream, the dream selling, na parang, yay, I got this work, but you don't, I mean, sure, you don't tell the world that I got 500 pesos for voiceover for Colgate. But but in the end, when people then ask you how much did you earn for it? And if you're gonna hide it, then you unfortunately become part of the problem, right? Because you then realize, because we do know, I mean, law tells us that there is a minimum wage that you have to earn. And if your friends tell you, wait, you're getting paid below minimum, you're actually getting paid far less than your yaya or manong, right? And that's bad, right? So these are things that we have to be clear as well. Open up these conversations so at least that you can then push your pricings or at least be clear with your pricings. You'll also see it in events, right? Some of you sell your fan art or your stickers at what, 10 pesos, 5 pesos? Even if it's digital art, sure, it's the happiness of somebody buying your craft, but does that pay all the labor that you've charged for it? So, it goes into that entire industry.
Mhm. So for our last question, since you said that it would be hard to go into the bigger industries, could you suggest any small creative industries smaller than these in and out of Japan that people could apply or intern for?
No, actually, it's quite easy. I'm sorry, I might have misstated myself. It's not that it's hard, but it's actually easy. However, the same situation happens. You're not going to get as much. Remember that when you enter these companies, you come in as a freelancer, right? Freelance manga artist, drawer, painter, voice actor, and so on, which means that the only way for you to get more work is to sell yourself more. And in most situations, you'll probably get what? If you're lucky, especially in creatives, you'll get one commission a month, right? But and that's where it becomes clear now. Are you able to live with one commission work a month? So to me, I'm not stopping you from going into Japan, but or entering in this space. But you then check how much hours does this art deal for you. If it's going to be so in 24 hours, if it's going to be 3 hours, then make sure that you have supplements for the remaining 8 hours, of 5 hours or 7 hours of labor that you can provide for yourself. Okay? Because I'm not stopping you from dreaming. It's just really stopping you from suffering in this dream. Because, even there, right? For you guys that you spend what? 15 hours doing labor just so that you can sell a 5 peso sticker. Yeah, it makes you happy, but it's 5 pesos. Is that enough for candy? Can't remember anymore. It's that that we have to treat it like you have to treat it really as a business for yourself. And everyone in the creatives has to be able to treat it as a business. Kung hindi, we replicate the cycle. So it's not stopping you from going to Japan. Go ahead, do all of this, but make sure that you make learned decisions in terms of entering in this craft, because you will suffer. It's a matter of how much you're willing to suffer for it and how much knowledge you have in order to not suffer too much in it. Okay?
Thank you.
Mm.
I have to admit, this does feel very relevant to a lot of us, especially here in Toshin, considering that we have digital artists, we have translators, like people that do manga translations, and we even have voiceover artists, if ever. But thank you. It's very interesting to get this kind of perspective on it, considering I'm sure a lot of us have kind of mostly limited to seeing listings on Twitter or wherever for how we pursue it. But it's very nice to see it's really nice to see the foundation, I suppose, especially in Japan.
Good luck.
And I suppose, thank you, probably gonna need it. But I suppose for now we can probably wrap up because we are kind of running low on time. We might have to move on to the next talk. And but before that, I'd really like to say, on behalf of, I suppose, of Toshin, I really have to say thank you for this talk. It was very enlightening, for lack of a better term. But oh, do we have another question? But yeah, thank you. We have another question, though I might have to look over it for a second. But for everyone in the audience, before I forget, we are going to be flashing evaluations. So if ever, let us know how we did. And yeah, everyone give a round of applause for our speaker today, for our first speaker today, Dr. Cheng Chua. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be posting this question in the Zoom chat because I can't read it. If someone else would like to interpret it. Because we received a question in Japanese.
My eyes are small, but go ahead. I'll just reply to this in chat na lang, para at
Okay.
least you can move on with the next speaker. Okay.
Thank you. I suppose we can just reply in the live stream. Thank you. Before we do have a couple minutes to introduce our next speaker. I do believe I suppose we need a few minutes to just to double check if everything's ready. I'll be back in a few. Thank you.
Ready pa ba tayo?
Well, right, good evening, everybody. We're back. Is everyone still awake? I certainly hope so. We're going to start getting into our second talk for week 2. VRoid Studio, 3D modeling for everyone. Today I am joined again by my co-host Kulai, but this time, wait, Kulai, say hi.
Hi.
Sorry. But this time I suppose I'll be the one introducing our host. Our host, Oliver Canticle, is a self-taught freelance artist specializing in creating 3D anime characters for virtual content creators, also known as VTubers. With a keen eye for detail and a passion for modeling, Oliver has become known for creating highly appealing art styles and visually cute, stunning VTuber characters that bring virtual personalities to life. Whether working with established overseas studios or helping new content creators bring their characters to life, Oliver has built a reputation for being a child prodigy VTuber papa, thus captivating national and international clients alike. So I suppose now is the part where I ask the audience to join me in welcoming our host, opening the floor to Oliver Canticle.
Hello, cute game.
Clap, 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 clap. Cute game.
Should I share my screen na?
You have the floor.
Okay, sige. So, I hope it's showing properly. Oh, shoot.
It's working, don't worry.
Okay, so, hi everyone, Hi, not hi, Made. Kala ko ba nasa dentist ka? So, my name is Oliver. Medyo kinakabahan ako kasi yung previous talk, it's talking about, following your dream in creatives. And to be honest, I 3D art is not actually my original dream. I'm a computer science student. And bakit, so you may be wondering why is a computer science student working in the creatives? Kasi I was kidnapped. Let's just put it that way. Where the Swiss student socks? Wait. Kailangan mo ba makita socks ko? Hindi siya pang CS student. Teka. Yan. Wait, yan. Yan, okay? Okay na ba yan, Elnat? Wow, naglalag ako. Okay na ba yan? So, yeah. VTuber din ako, pero wala akong time magpakulay ng buhok. Yun lang yun. That's the gist. So, yeah. And this is me. Ito yung website na ginawa ako for example, you want to commission me. Yeah. Welcome to the workshop. Grabe gwapo ko. So I've been working on 3D models for about 3 years now, and yeah, I'm a 3D artist and a live 2D rigger that works alongside virtual YouTubers into bringing their characters to life on screen. I've always been a working student, accepting art commissions related to 3D since 2020. Okay, ayusin natin mic ko. Wait lang, give me a moment. Give me Okay? Oh shoot, mali yung pinapakita ko naman. Okay. So ito lang yung previous work ko na mapapakita ko kasi ito yung I guess nag-recognize sa akin sa VTubing industry is Angel Sword Studios with Waifu Wars. So this is Leaflet. She is currently streaming right now on Twitch actually, and I'm holding a workshop without her knowing. Hehe. And ito lang yung this is basically just my work. These girls until it expanded into so much more like creating the actual models of the VTubers and then live 2D itself. And mag-share lang ako ng other screen ng iba. Hold on. Let me share my other window real quick. So, let's get to the presentation. Short presentation lang naman na why are we working with VRoid Studio? Meron naman tayong Blender, meron naman tayong ZBrush, meron naman tayong mas magandang software kesa sa VRoid Studio. To answer that, TLDR, mas madali lang talaga ang VRoid. And to answer why am I still using VRoid even though well-versed naman ako sa ZBrush at saka sa Blender, it's because siya, mass-produced 3D modeling software. So here let's see here na yung the UI of VRoid itself. So ang software ng VRoid Studio, it was made by Pixiv and it was developed for illustrators in mind. And sinasabi pa nga nila sa website nila na drawing 3D here is easy as drawing on paper and can be used for free by people with no modeling knowledge. Kahit wala kang background. Sobrang dali lang. And I don't know if it's really that easy. Pero at least the learning curve is there. Mas madali nga talaga siya kesa sa other softwares. Kasi, for example, if you're learning with Blender, what do you need to learn for 3D modeling in Blender? Ang Udemy, they have a course and then they say 7 different steps. Ayan, you use Blender and understand its interface, understand the principles of modeling, create 3D models with simple colors, learn the basics of animation, create your own materials. UV map and unwrap your models, create animation for your objects and characters. Ang steps 5, 6, 7, mas pinasimple pa nga nila yan. There's actually more to it. Create your own materials, it's not just materials. There's textures, there's normals, etc. Other stuff that Blender will make you do. You have to learn for Blender actually. Ganun. UV map and unwrap your models. This is where rigging comes into place. Yung what's that called? Sorry, I'm losing my memory ulit. Rigging, tsaka weight painting. Ang weight painting? Ang weight painting, kung di ka religious dati, pag natuto ka ng weight painting, magdadasal ka lagi. Basta ganun lang yun. You're gonna be so religious in the weight painting process. And then create animations for your objects and characters. Yan, lahat, basically, kailangan mo matuto for Blender. But for, since VRoid nga was made for illustrators in mind, because you want a 3D reference of any character that you make, and you don't really need to learn animations for that. You don't need to learn you basically need to learn rigging if you're basically need to use Blender for your reference character. But with VRoid Studio, you don't have to learn those things. Ano lang yung kailangan mo matuto with VRoid Studio? It's just these 3 steps compared to like 7. 7 which has 6 has more steps. Oops, back. you use VRoid Studio and understand its interface, yung nakita lang natin kanina. Understand the principles of modeling and create 3D models with simple colors. Yun lang. Okay. And I'm still telling you the fact na VRoid Studio isn't as powerful as Blender. I'm not saying na we can replace VRoid Blender or ZBrush or any other modeling software with Blender. Kasi ang isipin mo lang na yung VRoid Studio is the beginner steps to the more intuitive and 3D modeling and 2D illustrating software. Kasi back lang natin yung slides. For example, ito, 'di ba, we saw her draw hair on the head. Sa ZBrush, yun din yung gagawin mo. So, let's watch this. Sorry, narinig ko. This is Sakaki Kayoru. He is working on ZBrush. He is known for actually making anime figurines. So, if you want a standard for making figurines, look no other than Sakaki Kayoru. And here, yung ginagawa niya sa hair, yun din yung parang ginagawa niya kanina sa yun din yung pinakita natin na ginawa sa VRoid Studio. So, in the case, pinasimple lang sa VRoid Studio. Dito, meron pa siyang ginagawa na, ina-edit niya pa yung, I guess sabihin mo na yung mesh ng hair. So, yeah. And, sa VRoid Studio din, pag di ka marunong mag-Photoshop dati, matututo ka mag-Photoshop ngayon. Kasi, dati, nung nagsimula ako ng VRoid Studio, hindi ako marunong mag-Photoshop. Ano yung ma-apply mong skill na sa VRoid Studio na ma-apply mo sa Photoshop? Yung dito sa lower right, makikita mo yung, yung blending ng colors. This illustration is by Clisel. She makes, some of the stuff for Oliver Lore, like yung background and details, and then she made the schedule. But yeah, ito, pinapakita ko lang example yung blending of colors. And then, pwede ka rin matuto ng Clip Studio if di pa ikaw marunong mag-Clip Studio. So, ang VRoid Studio meron site na parang meron ka ding mabibilan na parang brushes, pero tawag namin dun textures. Pwede ka rin bumili ng hair. Pero yeah, basically matututo ka mag-browse in Clip Studio if magaling ka mag-browse sa ng assets for VRoid Studio through the boot PM services. So yeah, yun lang. Ito lang yung presentation ko. Why are we learning VRoid instead of other softwares? So exit na natin 'yan. So ngayon, actually pupunta na tayo sa workshop proper. We're gonna get if you haven't installed VRoid Studio yet, I suggest you install it right now. Ang dami kung Yeah, you should install VRoid Studio now while we're looking for a reference. So I'll give you guys time. Ayusin ko lang itong tracking ko kasi nakatayo ako. Yan. Okay, we're good. So we're gonna look for a reference, and I'm just gonna basically walk through you what I been through while working for a studio company. So here, dito tayo, Waifu Labs. So to give context, why are we using this website? So yung parang first gig ko with VRoid Studio, with Angel Sword Studios, is making 3D models reference from this website. So si Leaflet magsasubmit sa akin ng photo, let's just say it's a photo of a girl and then nanalo daw siya ng ng something, and then we basically, from this set of images, we're gonna make a 3D model. So if I may ask, can I ask, just like last 2 years ago, can I ask one of the co-hosts to pick a waifu? Si Rocco or sino may gusto?
I'm actually familiar with this site. I remember you sending it before. So, Kulay, would you
Oh
like to
shoot,
do the
wait,
honors?
ba't ganun? Di kita marinig, Rocco.
Hello?
Something,
Sorry?
something did. Thank,
Even?
thank you. Thank you, recording issues.
Sorry.
I'm so
Um,
sorry.
Can you hear me?
You were working fine a while earlier. Rocco, okay lang magsalita ka sa Discord.
All right. Sorry.
Di kita marinig sa, I don't know why. Hello?
All right. Hello?
Okay, rinig ka naman sa stream, no?
I suppose.
Al, rinig naman ba siya sa stream?
All
Okay. So,
right. Everything seems to be fine.
okay.
Right.
Rocco, I want you to pick a waifu that we're gonna make today for our workshop.
Let's go with second from the top, second from the left.
Second from the top, second from the left. This girl?
Yeah.
I may refresh.
We can refresh
Okay.
too if you'd like.
No, it's your waifu. We're making your model.
Fine, let's refresh.
Okay, sige. Ayaw mo siya i-keep, for sure.
Okay.
Kasi
It's-
if you won't see her again. Parang
Yeah, fine. We can say
Okay.
goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye. Damn, this selection.
I know,
Let's
right?
go with.
Pwede mag-refresh ulit. You can change your mind.
No, I think I want to stick to this one. Let's go with number 2 from the second from the top row.
Second from the
left
top.
row.
Yeah. So, white hair girl, yellow eyes thingy, may sky background. Okay.
She kind of matches the aesthetic of the other model that I want to make.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Out of context, I've been trying to get Rocco to make his model, but he doesn't insist. So polite. Go ahead, Rocco,
I
pick a
don't-
color.
Top left.
Top left. This one?
Basic. Yeah.
Wow, basic. Wow, simple lang gusto.
Simple lang. Diba?
Yeah, huh?
I suppose continue.
Continue. Wait, continue. Wow, first love at first sight,
Diba? Oh, top left.
Never mind. Top left. What is the name of your child?
Let's just go with a random one, I guess.
Random. Saru. Oh, are you good with Saru?
Sure.
Sure, okay. Sabi nga ni
Saru.
Maddie yung...
Sure.
Okay, let's save it. Uh-oh. Sige, new folder. So, let's save it there. And, okay. Now that we have a reference, we still don't open VRoid Studio. Wait just yet. We have to see what available resources we have first and go to boot.pm. So, ito yung sinasabi ko na, if you're good at searching it in boot.pm, you're good at searching at Clip Studio. So, yeah, basically, they don't always sell VRoid stuff. There's also other 3D models and Unity stuff, model stuff that doesn't necessarily have to be connected to VRoid. But we're looking for VRoid textures specifically in order to make Rocco's, I guess girl. Sure, why not?
It does look a lot like the Clip Studio store, actually.
I know, right? So, lagay ko lang dyan sa side. So, we want to be as close as possible to our reference. Kasi, halimbawa, ako binigay ako ng reference ng client. I want to be as close as possible to the original source, basically. So, I mean, her eyes could look kind of like this now, so you can get that. So specifically, okay, what are we looking for? We want her hair, a face texture, and her clothes. Kasi, I mean, ang VRoid Studio, meron na siyang built-in. Meron naman siya built-in. But, we want to look unique. We don't want to be the same as anybody else. We don't want to look the same as any other VRoid Studio model out there. Yun lang yung pride ko. Wait lang, if i-filter ko siya na all age, okay, tama naman. So, meron na tayong eyes. Download natin yan mamaya. Let's look for skin. Buti na lang may safe for work. I mean, it's mostly nude models. Cute models. Wala bang,
Let's just not look
ano,
much.
wala bang ano, wala bang hindi mongkas? Gagamit tayo ng ano, Japanese translator because first of all, I didn't learn Japanese. Second, it's easier to search. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa yung ano, secret technique sa Clip Studio. If you don't find what you're searching for in English, you use Japanese. So, yan, skin. And thank you. Thank you, skin. There you go. At least, ano, I want to find something I know I'm comfortable working with. At least unique. Okay. Ito, girl face texture. Well, I guess it's unique enough. Sige na. And then I save this. By the way, you don't have to necessarily download what I'm downloading because you may have created a reference for a different character you have in mind. So basically just follow what your heart says, bro. Bro moment. Heart sa signs. Me. Di joke. Okay, now siguro clothes na lang. For me, usually at this part of the step, I would ask the client, oh, what does she wear? What is she like? Hindi ko natatanungin si Rocco yun. Kasi we're saving time.
Take all the liberties you want.
I want to get to the software as soon as possible. We just want something close enough. Something close enough.
Have fun with it.
Or if I'm feeling quite safe, sasabihin ko na lang yan, safe fuku. Sige na. Sailor uniform. Joke lang. Conquest. Okay, sige. Huwag ka na nga lang. Where's the kanji? Yan, okay. Oops. Ang jacket kong sobrang laki. Ito, malapit na to. Pero yun pa yung beta version. It's okay, we can work with it. Is there anything else? Sige, pwede na. Yan. Meron na tayong face. Meron na tayong skin, yung eye, tsaka yung hair. Yung hair na lang. Now, sa hair texture, it doesn't exactly have to be one-on-one sa hair texture. Kasi, this is AI generated. We can sometimes rely on AI, but just like they said in one of my computer science class, uh don't let a machine determine your decisions, because we cannot hold the machine reliable if it makes a mistake. Wink wonk. Ito meron, pero may bayad. Pero minsan walang bayad. Minsan walang bayad, di ba? I'm not gonna make you guys buy stuff. Translate. Now, why would you put piercings in a hair section? Not a lot. Okay. There's not a lot of hair textures to choose from. I mean, if push goes to shove, we just have to work with what we have, because I'm not really happy with what I'm seeing of what we have available.
Do feel free to take liberties at this point.
Ito na lang, sige. This is hair textures. This is what we're looking for. Ito yung very nostalgic tong hair texture sa akin, kasi ito yung una kong hair texture nung ginamit nung nagsisimula pa lang ako. Pero I move on to other better hair texture things. Yeah. Okay, so kompleto na yung shopping natin. And finally, we can open VRoid Studio. So just open your VRoid Studio and then let's get started. So create new, since female siya. Here we go. Here we are. Yes. So, ito na, i-introduce ko na kayo sa interface ng VRoid Studio. So, compared to my workshop, according to VRoid Studio last 2 years ago, mas madami na siyang interface, so to speak. And mas madami na siyang pwede i-customize. But is this version necessarily better than the beta version? If you ask me personally, no. There's still some things that the beta version can do that the stable version can't do, pero at this point it's just nitpicking. So, bago tayo magsimula sa pagdududot dito, dun muna tayo sa look. Isa-set lang natin yung parameters natin na maayos. So, ito ang outline width. Ang ginagawa nito, pinapakapal lang yung outline ng model natin. So, if you want, I guess, a more toony aspect, gagawin natin makapal. Yung animate toon, yes. Pero kung gusto mo medyo realistic, pwede naman, we can remove it all together. So, for me, in my art style, I use outlines, but not the maximum. So, 0.07. So, yan. Yan. And ang accessory, wala. Kasi minsan hindi siya maganda. Ito ang rim light. Yung ito. It basically lights up the behind of your model. Ginagamit ko siya, pero not always. Minsan, if I'm working with models, gusto ko i-control siya sa either Blender or Unity. So, dito, turn off natin kasi we're working with colors here. Here, papakita ko sa inyo mamaya yung settings ko na ginagamit. Pero ito lang muna. This is what I'll be using. And then for eye alignment and the bones, we leave that untouched. So, from here, for example, you're just starting in VRoid. Tapos, where do we work from? Well, like, meron yan steps. Where's my, let me get a pen. We work on steps. Nakikita ba to? Hindi. Kita ba to? Hindi. Dito lang nakikita. Never mind. Wait, let me bring my other pen. Just so you know what steps we're working with first. Ayan, ang first step natin is the face. So, after the face, sorry, sira yung mouse ko. We actually do the body next. So, kasama na dun yung proportions and everything. And then, yung outfit. Yung outfit. And then, yung yung hair. And then, export. And then, we export. For, So, if you're gonna ask me, are these steps interchangeable? Maybe if you're working, I would say yes. Maybe if you're working in another software, but I find this is the most linear way of working. Because if you follow these steps, you don't have to go jumping back to the other steps like like I used to when I started. So, and ito nga yung advantages ng VRoid na if this was Blender, this would be like 6, 7, 8 more 9 steps. But we're not. We just simply want to make a 3D model out of reference. So let's get started with the face. Now, when working here, we want to be as close as possible. Edit muna natin yung textures. So, if you're following the steps now, we're editing the textures. Tagalin natin yung use of color calibration ng eyes kasi hindi naman natin yung gagamitin. So, let's just import the textures that we downloaded earlier. Wow, okay. Medyo malayo yung sa gusto natin, but it's okay. It's okay. Kaya naman natin mag-adjust mamaya. Not really a fan of this, Let me just, unzip the files that we downloaded earlier. Whoa, okay. That's a lot of textures. Okay. Na-unzip ko na. And for some reason, yung isa kong na-download na files, mas madami siya. Compared, kasi we only came here to download the face. And for some reason, it gave me the entire pack. Thank you, pack. We can work with this. Wow, okay. So, yun lang pala yun. Wow. Mas maganda pa yung original. My God. Tanggalin lang natin to. Kasi meron siyang pink dito kanina. Medyo, we don't want that. Tanggalin ko lang. I mean, if you don't have that in your model right now, that's perfectly okay. Uh, basically, what I want is this yun. Oh, okay, so yun yung sa hair. This is for now, let's remove this because it's usually I usually come back to like coloring the top half of the face with after the hair has been made. Okay, so yun. And yun lang muna. Overwrite. Okay. Okay, cute game. Uh for the rest of it, I guess we can just pick from what we have here. Just something as close as possible. We don't have to be exact. Just a minute. I'm just gonna put the girl in uh in a browser because I have a color picker. I have a color picker in my browser. Yan. Bakit ko 'to ginawa? Kasi uh I have an ito. I have a yan. I use before I ever got a copy of Photoshop. This is what I use when I was starting commission. So just to get colors out of our reference pictures, this is just basically what I do. I mean, if you can do it by eye, that's totally fine. I used to do that anyway in a different class. I used to work in making renders of buildings in a mechanical engineering class when I was in high school. But for this, I just really want to be neat. Eyelids. Yeah, I guess this is our eyelids. Do I? Oops, time check. Okay. We are 55 minutes in. Amazing. I mean, it's hard to see from her hair what her eye exactly looks like. So I guess we'll just go with vanilla. Something pretty average. You did start a bit late. That is true, cause the talk earlier was really really nice, and then the previous professor also got delayed. So I just said, you know what, it's okay for them to overtime. I'm just basically working on models. I mean, at this point, like they said, VRoid Studio's UI is pretty self-explanatory. You don't if you already ahead of the steps, then you can go ahead and go to the next steps because ano, the where's my na-delete ko yung Epic Pen. Yan. So you can go ahead and go to the other steps if you're already ahead of this step. I'm just fine-tuning everything. Mm. Oops. So minsan we're gonna come across some bugs like this in the VRoid stable. This doesn't happen in the beta version. Yung hindi mo ma-type yung numbers or hindi mo ma-delete. Okay, never mind. Medyo nagloloko siya. It's not showing the cursor properly. We just jump We just jump tabs if something is not working. When the beta version is more stable. True, true, true. Oliver screen share froze. Teka lang. Yan, okay na? Okay na ba? Yeah, it froze. At tumagalid na yung model ko. Ang likot. Ang likot parang bata. Lang sa... Di ko naman kailangan magsalamin eh. It's good now, yeah. Okay. Screen share is just a bit laggy. But I can't do anything about that. What happens if it's laggy, no? Because it is. Oh well, no, I'm just gonna continue and hopefully it will fix itself. Cause I'm really pressed for time. Not gonna lie. It's okay. Well, okay. Oh shoot, nabalik siya sa ko. Bumalik siya sa Yep, it's okay. Seem to be the Zoom slide. I guess so. How can I show my screen without ano? Wait lang. Kasi it's lagging daw eh. Reset ko lang. So what I'm doing right now with the eyes, cause the colors aren't matching as you can see. So I'm trying to like trying to match the original reference by adding a bit of, I guess you know, I'm darkening it. Nope, that doesn't work. PLDC moment. Yeah, it do be like that. I mean, I wish I can stream, I wish I can stream this for my side, pero nah. Let's work what we have. It's okay. Yeah, I guess naging ganun na rin. Blending modes are crazy powerful times. I know, right? Wala, ano na lang yan. Tansya-tansya na lang din. Like if you want to make something darker, press multiply. If you want to make something lighter, soft light or overlay. Here, I'm in the expressions editor. I'm basically trying to match her mouth. As you can see, yung loob ng mouth niya is for some reason gray. We don't want that. Excuse me. Yeah, I guess okay na ako sa sa default. I don't want to change the color or anything. I'm gonna make the eyebrows a bit thinner because there are quite thin in the reference. So it's arch. And it's 0%. A cute game. I know, right? This would have been a proper if only this were a presentation, I wouldn't mind the lag actually. Yung and I guess I'm quite happy with it. I just want to make the ears smaller, not that. Where are the ears? Yan. Cause isipin mo lang din na yung model na ginagawa mo, tao lang din siya. 'di ba nung mga bata tayo, malalaki yung tenga natin. So, our faces appeared smaller. Here, I'm doing the opposite. I'm making the ears smaller so the face appears more bigger, so to speak. We're giving the illusion na this girl is anime. Anatomy moment, yes, Stop, you'll learn in Blender. I know, right? If only I wasn't lagging 5 frames per second. So we can, I'm now starting with the hair. We'll leave her mouth gaping as it is because it gives us a reference of where things should be. Here, we already have hair sets. So if you can find an existing hair preset that is already here, well, you're a lucky one. But for me, I like doing the hair from scratch. But since we are pressed for time, we might as well work what we have. So here, her hair basically somewhat looks the same. But, except for certain aspects. But we're not settling for this one. Oops. Nawala siya. Yeah, so I can't work with that hair. I just want something as close to this one as much as possible. So, ang gagawin na lang natin, i-edit natin yung hair. These are the non-scammy tactics to quickly making models in VRoid Studio. I think wait. I'm determining which is I think this is this is similar to what we're looking for. Her hair. Ba't di naka-zoom in? Well, basically our girl looks like she has long hair, so let's give her some long hair. Not this wavy though. Not this straight, she has a few stray hairs. If there's a similar hair model to that, then there's no similar hair model to that. So, I guess let's pick the closest one. That's not the closest one. Damn. Okay. Okay, so since this is the back hair, pretty much you can do whatever you want with the back hair. No one will mind. We're just gonna do the back hair from scratch. At least, I'll show you something. Overall hair. So you have another. What's this? Okay. Okay. So despite having a back hair, they have more options. Why? I don't know why. Is it obvious that I don't usually use this part of VRoid Studio just because I like making things from scratch? So, I guess, malapit na siya dyan. Extension. We don't need an extension. Wait. Pwede technically kasi meron siyang if you've seen a girl's this hairstyle before, there's like bound to be a ponytail at the back of that head. Kasi it's not fully, hindi siya fully sabog, kumbaga. Oops. So, we're just gonna give her a small ponytail. Sabi ko nga, small. Yan, small. And then yung side, papalitan ba natin? Actually, hindi natin mapalitan. Dun kasi yun eh. Ahoge. Fortunately, wala siyang ahoge. Haha, fortunately. So, yun na. And base hair. Ito yung... If wala kang base hair, basically, your character is bald. Cute model. Hello, Slep. Welcome to the stream. I'm sorry I'm lagging right now. Saan yung... Tatasan ko lang siya. Makes sense using preset. Seems to be restricted. Well, it's good for beginners, but if you want something really customized, I suggest you make everything from scratch. I usually don't use the presets, as you can see. I usually have something else just because, ayoko gamitin yung preset kasi I want to look more unique than anybody else. Yeah, ayoko yung kumbaga sa school uniform, gusto ko may pagkakaiba ako sa school uniform. So, ang ginagawa ko ngayon, dati nung mayroon akong high school uniform, pag nakapolo kami, actually, magsusot ako ng hood sa loob. Yun yung magiging parang yun yung magiging parang sando ko. Asan na yung ulong mo, be? Tata give you a nose. I mean, I don't think there's not a lot of happening with her nose. So let's just give her a petite. I'll just give her a petite nose, no? Sure, why not? Oliver, flexing his VRoid skills. Baka naka-custom uniform ito. Ewan ko. Wait, shoot. Di ko pa pala nagawa yung yung face. No, I mean, kasi, if matututo kayo sa akin, ayoko gamitin nyo yung present and look every other VRoid Studio model out there. Kasi I want you guys to stand out. I want you guys to look unique. Isn't there a parent that doesn't want their child to look unique? Oops. Yan, I think medyo mas malapit na tayo sa original face niya. All we needed is the hair. So, yung hair niya, meron lots of parents actually want their kids to look the same as everyone else. Well, not this parent, okay? You go to school and you wear whatever you want, okay? Hindi kita pipigilan. Di kita pipigilan, be. Magmukhang baduy ka man. Kung ma-impress si crush mo, sige na. Sige. That do be the normie life. I mean, there's nothing wrong living a normie life if you just want a normal life. And there's nothing wrong wanting a normal life if you're tired of... Di, joke lang. Nag-rant na ako. Pigilan niyo ako, mga be. Malapit na Valentine's Day. Oops. Ano ba yan? Control Z. Malapit na Valentine's Day. Search more items. Yun lang pala ginagawa nun. Wait, so how do you want, Yan, edit hairstyle. This reminds me of my classmate who always wears a vest and sweater over his uniform to stand out. Crowder, making a 3D model for your Valentine, the best gift you could possibly give. Okay. Okay, I will make chismis. I will make kwento. I used to have a friend who actually made a model for his girlfriend. Di sila tumagal. Di ko... yun na yun ang kwento ko. That's my story. They didn't last long. I'm sorry wherever you are. Girlfriend, I'm sorry. He gave you a 3D model he made out of the whim on Valentine's Day. I didn't know he was brave enough, but there we go. Kung saan ka man ngayon. I mean, in the end, he still got another girlfriend. So, ganun lang naman yun. If it didn't work out, I guess don't be sad, hopefully. And just, carry on. Ah, yes, yan. How inspiring. The new GF can use the model's artistic. Yeah, pero kasi, he was also a beginner when he started making a model. And then, I don't know, tinulungan ko siya ng konti. I did my best. I tried helping the poor guy as much as I can without hand-holding him too much. Oh, yan. Okay. So, for the model he created it for his girlfriend, I would necessarily say it's the worst, but it could be better. You know? Haha. The new Oliver helping a homie out. Yeah, actually, me helping a homie out never ended really good. Yeah, so if you want me to be a wingman in your relationship, don't. For God's sake. It doesn't end well. Does it end well? I'm telling you. I have a curse. I have a curse. Listen, okay? Stop, look, and listen, Not just listen. Stop, look, and listen. Every time I try to be a wingman for someone else, let's just say the relationship doesn't end well. And bigla sabi, you might say, oh, Oliver, you might be interfering their relationship. I don't. I live it up to them. I fully support a girl and a guy in a relationship. It's just that I'm cursed. No matter who I help, it doesn't always end well. True story. True story. So, alam mo yan, bibigay ako ng relationship advice. Malapit na Valentine's na Valentine's. Ang hirap. Habe. Ang hirap mo naman gawan ng kulay ng buhok. Kaya hindi ako masaya dito sa kulay na to. Delete. Kung 7:30 na at wala pa tayo at di pa rin ako masaya sa buhok, move on na tayo. Alam niyo guys, yung paggagawa ng model, para pag-ibig lang yan. Bakit ako gumagawa ng hugot? Pigilan niyo ako. Hindi, pinapasaya ko naman kayo. Well, pinapasaya ko lang naman kayo. Di naman ako di naman ako along ng Valentine's Day. Di shalon. Meron Tsaka alam mo, yung alam mo, yung sabi nila, like, nung mga 1980s daw, the general population used to have a lot more friends. Like, yung pupunta tayo sa bahay ng kapitbahay. Hindi naman necessary kapitbahay ng kaibigan natin. Tapos, kakain tayo. And then, yun na yun. Yeah, yun na. Ano, yun yung ano, yung entire dynamic natin dati. Ngayon, since the era of the internet, di na daw natin masyado ginagawa. So, for example, hindi kayo naging, kayo, hindi kayo naging kayo, no? Okay lang to be friends kasi in the world, we always need more friends. No, kasi no, we're trying to increase the international average again. Our parents be extrovert. May pinapatamaan nata. Hindi. Kung natamaan man kayo, kayo na yun. Aba, bata lang naman ako gumagawa ng models. 'Di ba? 'Di ba? 'Di ba? 'Di ba? Haha, mababaliw na ako. 7:30 na ba? Hindi, 7:23. Ah, ang gulo ng hair. Ang gulo ng model. Oops. Sige, okay na yan. Kailangan ko pa ayusin yung book eh. I mean, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Oo. Like any good relationship, you can work this out. Haha. That is if only you are good. I'm sorry. Six minutes to 7:30. It's not that bad. Oliver said, as Oliver thinks, it really is that bad. Please, why? I don't know. Natututunan ko lang to sa mga hugot ng ano, ibang VTubers. Kasi di pa ako na friendzone sa totoo lang. Di pa ako na friendzone. Flex ba yun? Not to say that is bad. You are in a hugot competition and Oliver is your opponent. Sheesh. Di ko naman kayo pinapaunahan sa hugot competition, di ba? Di ba? Tapos magsasabi na naman ako ng hugot. Ah, guys, ang modeling parang love life lang. Oops. Actually, for me, making the hair is the most therapeutic way. I mean, the most therapeutic stage for me when making the model. Di ko lang alam bakit ang dami kong hugot ngayon sinasabi. Guys, alam ko na question ko mamaya. Uy, dapat related sa 3D model ah. Walang question na. Sino nagsaktan sa'yo? Ah, hindi. Siguro siguro may coping mechanism ako kasi kanina yung talk tungkol sa sa art creative industry. And truthfully, minsan reality hurts, but that's the truth. Di ko alam. I mean, I don't have plan. I don't have plans to go to Japan. Pero nga dati sa Toshin, Oliver, HoloLive is looking for 3D modelers. At binigyan ako ng listahan na pwede tiran sa, sa, sa Japan. Sabi ko, be, di pa ako ganun kaseryoso. Gusto ko muna mabuhay sa Pinas for a bit. But yeah, to continue off where the last speaker talked about, am I suffering for my, art? No, una, I thought really nothing about it. Kasi, nag, paano ba yung nagsasabi? Gigising ako, patutulog ako, art lang ginawa ko buong araw. Ang kain ko, fast food, puro delivery lang. Bakit? Kasi wala akong time para magluto ng pagkain, and I was living alone at that time. I was basically living alone at that time. So, puro delivery lang kinakain ko nun. And, you reach to a point na magsasawa ka rin din sa delivery. But hey, I guess I was able to eat well with what I've earned. But, iba pa rin yung yung kaya mo alagaan yung sarili mo. Kasi, kahit sabihin mo delivery kinakain ko nun, gutom pa rin ako. At syempre, wala naman seconds. Hindi mo naman nakakontrol yung servings. Pumayat ako. Was my weight plummeting that bad? Not necessarily. Kasi pinapapayat ka din ng parents mo. I mean, ganito naman tayo sa Pilipinas. Mapayat ka, papatabayin ka. Tumaba ka, papapayatin ka ulit. You'll never they'll never be happy with what you've done in your life. Hugot ba na naman? Hugot ba na naman? Yan, nais ko lang. Gusto ko lang 1:1. If kaya. Where do you even get good adobo if you fly out? I know, right? Diba? Walang adobo sa Japan. Di ko din kaya lutuin sarili ko. You heard the professor. His students literally just eat bread to survive. And I yo, di ko kaya yung where's the rice? Where's the rice, bro? It's always hugot, not waigat. They have the ingredients. I mean, that's true. That is if you have the time to cook. That is if you have the power to get the ingredients, no? Kano ngayon sibuyas? 500 pesos per kilo? Yeah. And that's an essential ingredient in most Filipino cuisines. Yan, malapit na tayo, malapit na. Yan, last ako na yung adobo, ha? Ha? Kailangan na lang ayusin natin to. Oops, mali. You mean to tell me hindi kayo... wait, never mind. Saan ka ba? Okay, but convenient food is God tier though. That is true. That is true. Sabi ni Rivani, get work and life balance in Japan challenge. Warning, impossible. I mean, I want to believe that there are some people that made it. Kasi, actually, I've never been to Japan, but I would like to believe that there are some people that made it. That made it work. No matter, how absurd the your chances are, no? I mean, if it's for your dreams, yun nga, necessarily, I don't think you have to suffer for your dreams. Ooh. Let's go. Let's do this. Damit na lang. Damit na lang. Damit na lang. Teka, teka. Liitan natin to ng konti. Liitan natin. Truthfully though, at this time, on average, you actually just need 3 hours to complete a model with the resources we have. So basically, we save more time by doing the hair. Live in Japan can confirm there is suffering. Oof. Oof, I'm sorry to hear that. Oomfy. I mean, guys, what is a dream anyways? Diba? Ginulo ko na to. Ito na naman, may hugot ako. Ginulo ko yung buhok, parang ginulo ko yung love life niya. Hu 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 hu. Alam mo, di naman natin. Yan, di naman natin yan kailangan eh. Yung ponytail, ayusin na lang natin. Ayaw natin mag-clash kumbaga. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yun lang. Ano pa to? Meron pang sabit. Yan. I mean, so hindi lang nag-interact yung hair. I mean, malapit na tayo. Halos kamukha niya na. Damit na lang. Wish those dreams sparkle. I know, right? Bibigyan lang natin siya ng ng uniform. I mean, ito na yun. Bro moment. Pero, I think she's a good girl. She's a good girl. Palitan na lang natin yung yung top, basically. Okay, kids, look away. Never mind. She has let's just add what we downloaded. And matatapos na tayo. Namadali ko ata. Dapat 8 tayo matatapos. At nag-crash ang VRoid. Now remember, hindi natin to na-save. Never mind. Gumana. Hindi natin to na-save. So, if nag-crash yun kanina, wala tayong pag-asa. Save it now, please. No. I love to live dangerously. Isa pa. Di joke lang. Save na. Save na natin. Oh, shoot. So, usually, VRoid naka-save siya sa dito. In the VRoid folders in the document section. Tapos lalagay ko siya dito. I forgot her name. Uh-oh. Can someone type in chat, what's the girl's name again? Saru ba yun? Saru, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Oh no, magka-crash. Never mind. AKA monkey. No, that's a different that's a different Saru you're thinking of. Ayan. Yan, we could give her a tie. So, are we done? Are we done actually? No. No, I won't let you. We're not yet done. We're not yet done. Ano? Held prisoner. Hindi naman, hindi. Now, remember, what I told you about, we're gonna come back to this. So, yeah, basically, that's it. Why are you coming back to this specifically? To be honest, this thing is not working for me. But, I have a secret technique that can make your model 10 times better. By just this simple hack, you can have a cuter model. Oops, nakalimutan ko iyan. So, let's actually get the shadow from here. If you don't have a shadow, like like this one, like the skin I got it from, you can basically take any red part of the body and then you can use that. You can use that actually. But since we have this, the texture artist graciously gave us this. Ito na naman tayo. Ano ba napipindot ko? Wait lang. Yan, okay. Ito, yung one simple hack that will improve your life better. So, ito. Ito yung matututunan nyo kay Oliver. This simple hack only the 1% only knows. Top 1 secret VRoid technique. Since we have time, yes, we have 20 more minutes. So, ito, I set the brush to somewhat red. We're gonna make the bang shadow, and then for the brush type, I basically, instead of this, we're gonna choose this, and then for the editing world, kanina naka-UV yan, gawin natin world. And then just paint below the paint below the banks. Just paint. Don't think too much, don't think too much, just paint. Yeah, just paint. Do you remember when you were a kid, you painted with MS Paint? That's basically it. Yeah, you just paint. You don't have a care in the world. You don't have a care in the world. Just paint. Yeah. We're pretending that we're making bangs. I mean, yeah, this is actually an illustrator, an illustrator thing. But this is a step that people tend to forget when it comes to 3D models. Why do I think this step is important? Because it makes your model 10 times more better. So here we're just covering what wasn't colored. So yan, yeah, we're connecting the dots. Oh wait, you meant okay. I thought Cecil does this as well. I mean, Cecil still does paint with MS Paint. Good for you, Cecil. Adding shadow actually made it better. Yeah, diba? I know, right? And di pa tayo tapos. Actually, di pa. I swallowed. We're not yet done. So, here we're gonna refine. So, yan. Tada! And then, just just do that. Yeah. We're just we mostly we're following the ends of the hair. And if for example, malaki yung it's okay, don't worry. You can repaint anytime. Yeah. Guys, dito tulad ng Dito tulad ng first love mo, may second chance pa. Wow! Engot. Yan na naman. Kala niya tapos ako, di pa. Ang hugot ni Oliver. Yan. Yan. Hugot ni, Ate Oliver. Bakit? Di naman ako nasawi. Perpetin na natin. Yeah, guys, actually, I'm a time traveler. I've been living for 200 years now. Do you know the time traveler's wife? Actually, I didn't read that book. I only read the synopsis. Pero yeah, basically, my life story is like that. Yan. I mean, medyo nagulo natin ng konti. It's okay, we can come back, redo it again. Oops. Just like, what our favorite... Actually, wait, nagkakamali na ako eh. Yeah, nagkakamali na ako. You may be a time traveler, but nothing can you can do to save and save you a corrupted file. True. The other day, I was doing a model for a client, and then I was installing something else in my computer, and then my computer got the blue screen. What does that mean? Hours of making models wasted. Kinakabahan tuloy ako sa questions kasi palapit na tayo. Yan. Okay, ito na lang. Di na magiging maarte. Ito na lang. Yan. See, cute. And then, gawin lang natin itong darken. Since medyo na didiliman, medyo vibrant siya para sa akin, I'm gonna tone it down a bit. I mean, same effect, pero let's just tone it down muna. This is God punishing your hubris. Oliver Canticle, ginusto mo yan. Okay. Okay na. Tapos na yung hugot. Tapos na yung model. I-export na lang natin. Ayusin na lang natin yung expressions kasi nakabunga nga pa rin siya. Yan. I mean, okay. You know? Oh. 7:45. You know? I mean the shadow could be better. Sa malayo, maganda. Alam mo? Parang crush mo lang yan. Sa tingin mo sobrang ganda, gwapo nila. Sa malayo lang yun. Kaya tignan mo muna sila mabuti. Yan. Ayan, 360. Woo! I mean, someone looks the same. There's some things that still can be improved to make Saru look more like the reference picture we have, but that's all the time we had. Basically. And then tuturuan ko na kayo how to use this model for VTubing. So, save nyo lang. Save nyo bago nyo i-quit. Save nyo. Pindutin nyo itong up button. Export as VRM. Export as VRM. Pagka mag-crash. Yan. Yan. So, anong kailangan natin dito? If you're gonna still edit the model like in another software, I suggest you uncheck this. But since we're already happy with what we have, you can just check it. Check this. Yan. Check this. If you Okay. And then if you are making this model for a video game, you want to reduce the materials to at least 2 and have it shrink or original. But since we're using this for VRoid, you crash chair. Ah, uh-oh. Yeah, yeah, at this stage everything crashes. So whatever you work with, that's fine. You can basically you've done work under 2 hours. So I believe you can do it again if you really wanted to. I'm sorry. But did you at least save? Did you at least save at the stages where I told you to save? Okay. So we have that now. Yan. Okay. So we completed the steps. We didn't necessarily follow 3 and 4 steps kasi I guess we already had the preset. But usually you want to do the hair first before you want to do the clothes first before the hair. Cause trust me, magko-collide. So papakita ko ngayon sa stream kung paano si Saru mag-work. Close ko lang yung ko. Palitan ko lang model ko. Add avatar. Ang gamit ko palang face tracking is VC face. So ayan na siya. Gumagalaw pala yung bangs niya. So here we are. Yay. You have to at least redo the secret technique or the simple. Okay. That's good. So here it is, Rocco, your model. How do you feel that we made the model from your instruction? How
game.
satisfied do you feel?
Good game. I was really surprised to see how it turned out. I think the liberties were a good idea, even in the end, to be honest. Created something completely new out of it, and I was enjoying seeing you work with it. Although, maybe it would be nice to ask again someday.
Hold on di ko pa rin kayo marinig sa kailangan ko ba i-reset ang ang tingi ko?
Can check on Discord, I guess.
Stop ko na yung screen share. Oops. Imagine to crouch, you're able to make a good looking mirror more under the time restriction.
Yeah.
Oops.
I suppose we can head to Q&A now.
Yes, we can
Although-
have the Q&A right now.
But basically what I said earlier was I enjoyed watching you, I guess. I thought the liberties were really nice, and maybe I'll ask you again someday.
Of course, anytime.
All right.
Editing for old friends.
Of course. But to start with Q&A, we should start with one from the Seeing as the audience has yet to ask that many questions, I suppose I can start. With regards to VR modeling, without time constraints, generally how long would you say it takes when you're really committing the project, I suppose?
3 hours.
3 hours
3
on
hours.
average?
3 hours on average. I actually counted it. I actually computed it many times. And like 1.5 of those hours is done with making the hair.
It does seem really satisfying and really fun. Although, all right, we finally have a question from the audience. Kulai, would you like to read them out, or?
Yes, I'd like to. So
Thank you.
for the first question, how did you decide
Di ko marinig yung
start
audio
modeling?
sa Zoom, by the way. So, I
Uh,
guess.
Oh, Okay.
You could unmute.
Ah,
him.
okay.
I'll
You're good.
unmute in Discord.
Thank
I
you.
unmuted in Discord. So for the first question, how did you decide that you wanted to delve into modeling?
Haha. It all started 3 years ago. To and ang si Toshin actually nagsimula. So, I believe you were there, Rocco, for that meeting na for the first time, it was just when VTubing was starting, and then it was the start of the pandemic, and then we had a staff member in the internals come in with with a 3D model, and then like, oh shoot, where did you get that? And then they said, oh, dito ko nakuha dito ko nakuha sa Steam lang, and then ganto ganyan, and sabi ko, I'm interested in learning that. Let's actually make that for a project in Toshin. Let's start entire roster of VTubers of the mascots of Toshin. And yun lang yung starting point ko. From there, I got a career out of it basically. Kasi, syempre, gusto ko munang matuto gusto ko magkaroon na muna ng experience. So, how do I go there? So, very randomly, I came by across VRoid Studio, and gumagawa ako ng models, and then nasaan ako nun? Do you know Yandere Dev? Nasa Discord ako ng Yandere Dev. I mean, it's not the actual Yandere Dev itself, pero like fan art of the Yandere Dev game itself. And then they were making models for the game. Yung parang bootleg Yandere Dev nila. And then sabi ko, let me try making your model for free. Wala pang bayad nun. And then natuwa sila sa work ko. And then from there, sabi ko, if people like my work so much, then I can basically pay money from it. So, yun. I got basically paid to start learning. Yun. And the rest is history. Yeah. Yeah. 2 years ago, yeah. 3 years ago. Alright. Yeah. I mean, the real question is, how did I...
I forgot to unmute on Zoom. Sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, I basically just asked the first question, but I suppose we already asked it.
How do I, fix Zoom? Out. Yes, actually. Actually.
Sorry for technical difficulties.
Okay
for the
na. Ay,
audience.
rinig ko na kayo sa Yeah,
Hello?
rinig ko na yung Zoom. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's good.
I'll just start from the top, I guess. I suppose with our first question of how did you decide to start modeling, that was already answered with the previous question.
The real question is, why did I stay in modeling?
I suppose you can answer that instead.
Basically, I just
why
got
did you
really
stay?
supportive friends who really like my work. And then, yeah, yun na yun. Like, sometimes you don't really need to start a college course to be in the career where you are right now. Cute game.
Very cute. Sounds very nice being able to get that kind of support system with your hobbies. So I suppose we should just move on to the next question. What's your most favorite and least favorite or hated part in the process of 3D modeling?
Okay, my favorite
VRoid?
favorite part is the hair making. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, but you like there are some things I can do with the hair that I haven't seen other people recreate. I mean, I think they can do it, but the way I do it is very very pre-planned out basically. And for my least favorite part, it's not just it's not just me. There are other people who say they hate VRoid's clothing system. Pangit yung P6 niya, so to speak.
All right. For our next two questions, I'll be handing the floor over to Kulai. Would you like to read out the next questions? Two questions on the Slido.
So more on the technicalities then. So we have a question here asking, when should we move on to Blender for accessory touch-ups instead of using the hair plus custom texture trick?
Okay. I have one definite answer for that. Hindi to Ateneo answer na, depende sa'yo. Hindi. You should move on to Blender when you feel like there's nothing you can do in VRoid Studio anymore. Yun. You like, there's a specific part that VRoid can't do. Like, for example, ano ba hindi kaya ng VRoid? Tails, for example. Gawin mo na yun sa Blender. Just work with yun na yung go signal mo sa when to start with learning Blender when you can't do anything with VRoid Studio anymore.
And for the last question, how to make high quality textures in VRoid Studio, since VRoid will deform the textures eventually, so any fine details and line edges get pixelated.
Oh, okay. It's inevitable na yung textures magiging pangit siya. But I have a technique, and this is what you guys know Guilty Gear, right? So Guilty Gear actually makes high quality 3D models. So how do they do it? It's not something VRoid Studio can replicate right now, and I don't think they plan on remaking it. I need to show you guys something on how they do it, on how Arc System does it. The people who made share ko lang yung screen ko ulit but this time lang. Yan. So, ano nga ulit yun? Guilty Gear models. Ito. So, here, we have... Actually, this is more helpful. So, here. This is much more useful to look at. This is something you will do in Blender na. Basically, what you want to do... wait, no. Hold on. Actually, I can show Blender now. Let me show you how this is. But to answer your question, you can't do this in You can't do this in You can't do it in VRoid Studio, I'm afraid. So I actually remade a model using the processing of how I learned the process of how I learned from Guilty Gear. So wait lang, let's wait for a bit. It might take a while but not too long. It's loading. So let's hide this. And hide lang natin to. Hide natin. Oops. Spots. Okay. So, if nakikita nyo tong part na to, medyo pixelated siya, right? And then ito din pixelated. Wag niyo yung tingnan. Wag niyo tingnan tong buttons muna. Medyo pixelated siya. Pero pagdating natin dito sa sleeve, wala yung pixels niya. Wala yung pixels niya. How do you do it? How do you do it? So, if we look at the topology of the UV here, ganyan lang siya. Ganyan lang siya kasimple. Ganyan lang. So, pretty self-explanatory, mirrored. Yeah. But, if we move here sa sa sleeve na ito, bakit wala siyang pixels? So, let's actually look at this better. Tanggalin natin yung X-ray. Basically, what I've done is how Guilty Gear models do it. Ginawa ko siya ng sarili niyang line sa UV. And dito, 'di ba, ibang pixelated siya, isa simple model. And consistent siya. Consistent. Wala kang makikita dito ounce of pixel kahit gaano ka mag-zoom in. And bakit ko yun ginawa? Tignan na natin yung texture paint niya. Ito yung texture paint niya. Hiwalay yung sleeve sa linya. So, compared dito sa sa coat mismo, hindi ko siya ginawa ng sariling linya, so to speak. I didn't make it his own island. So, if you don't want pixels to your model, just make an island, bro. Just do it. Just that simple. Ito medyo may konting pixelation siya. Kasi ako gumawa nito. Itong like top part. Like yan. So yun. See? Yun lang. That's a hack. Pero if you learn this, does this mean you can already make Guilty Gear style models? No. There are a lot of things happening in Guilty Gear models that like kailangan mo matuto ng normals. Di ko kayo naturuan ng normals sa VRoid Studio cause we didn't need it to make the model basically. So yeah, yun. Yeah, that's it. You're welcome, Cruder. Kala ko
Thank you.
buti na lang walang tanong tungkol sa hugot, no, Cruder?
Not yet, but while we're waiting for the next questions to flow in, I'd like to take this chance to talk about evals, everybody. If you could direct your attention to evals, which we can put in chat right now.
Parang disappointed
Oh.
ata walang hugot. Ha? Di
I mean, we've plenty of time for that while we're doing evals, if you'd like. One sec. See if staff can post the link to evals right now.
They're posting it right now on Steam. Stream pala.
All right. And while we're waiting for evals, would anyone else like to ask any questions in the audience? If not, then anything cool?
I think I'm good.
All right.
Okay, sige.
Oh, we have someone in the audience that would like to share their model. Please open the stage for. You can, I guess, suppose now is the time to show it off.
All right. So, oh gosh, that is great.
Dramatic
Okay.
Koji.
Hello. Yes. So yeah, the model that I'm using right here right now, which I do use for VTubing purposes, is the same one that is the one that's created by Oliver over here.
No, yeah.
So if you guys want to have like I guess like a perspective of how Oliver's models get used in terms of like VTubing, this is how it. So I think Oliver mentioned that to use like models like this, you would use something like VC Face, right? So for my setup, I'm using VC Face as well, but I'm also using VTube Studio on my phone to do the face tracking.
Yeah, you could do that. Oh, do you know you can I should actually set up for you that you can use additional blends shape. So kanina 'di ba yung sa Oliver model ko actually di ko napakita pero you can actually kaya may labas yung dila mo. That's one of the 52 blend shapes is added. Yan
I can't
hindi.
do it.
Oo, dadagdagan ko na sa model mo.
I did see Oliver do that earlier, actually.
Yeah. Bakit meron yung feature na yun, di ko alam.
But it adds up. I also use my phone for VTube Studio. It has really good face tracking.
Yeah, because Because like especially if you have a 2D model, like you kind of have no choice but to use YouTube Studio. But like or similar alternatives. But like for me, because I'm using 3D, the 3D model, I'm using VC Face for doing the rendering part. Because VC Face is like really good at the rendering part. It's probably the best option that you have. But for face tracking, you can use something else. So VC Face has its like own face tracking using your webcam, but I find it to be like a bit sluggish-ish, and it can also affect a little bit like your performance. So what I'm doing is I migrated over my face tracking to my iPhone with because iPhone X onwards has if you know I guess what do you call that again? Like the face thing that Apple introduced.
Alam ko there's something
Is it
called
face
sa
mode or
AR
something?
kit. Sa
Yeah,
AR
yeah.
kit ng iPhone. Pero yeah, if you ask me, is phone or webcam tracking better? Phone is definitely more better. So if you have a phone, just use your phone.
Yeah, my brother makes live 2D models, and he bought an iPhone X just for models.
I know, right?
I think it's Memoji. Yeah, it's called Memoji. They introduced that as well as with Face ID. They're like Apple's like two biggest reasons for introducing more face tracking tech on the iPhone. So that's what I'm using now. And YouTube Studio has a thing where you can link it to PC Face. So yeah, you can offer face tracking. So yeah.
Like even if you're
I'm still super happy with the model that Oliver gave me. Like
looks good, man.
I know it. You gotta thank Oliver for that. Gotta
True. Paid by if you think I did Madness model for free, no. I was paid by the org to do Madness model. Lol.
Yeah. yeah. We were gonna work on a project, but I don't know. I can't say much about it, but yeah. It was for a project. Yeah.
Imagine using an iPhone and only use it as a webcam.
I know, right?
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, if I ever do own an iPhone, I think I would do the same just for work and never for
okay,
phone
but
purposes.
see, the thing is, in VTubing, right? Like, you know how like agencies will like, oh, you'll get an iPhone for VTubing. It's actually not just to use it as a webcam. It's also it's also a work phone, right? So you use your work email there, you use your work accounts there.
You just gotta swallow your pride.
I'm sorry, I ghost my clients.
Like oh my god. Again, my brother, he's like diehard Android, but he had to swallow his pride and use an iPhone for it.
Yeah, bro. I'm sorry, Android tracking just isn't that great. I tried. Like I'm on team Android, but you gotta. If you need like face tracking that's just as accurate as the iPhone.
True.
It's impossible. It's near impossible to find on Android. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I only use my other phone as a webcam, so it's not that far.
I've done that before. I've tried to use my phone as a webcam for online class before, so it's like
Yeah,
it do be like that.
I do too. Anyway, if there's nothing else, we might want to wrap it up a bit, if that's all right. I'll be handing over the floor. Thank you.
Also,
Thank you, Maricody,
also
for
don't
presenting.
forget, I do have a talk next week, so don't forget to check that out.
Yeah, guys, check out their talk.
Yeah.
Show up
That's
every
my
week.
son's talk. Go to my
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah, for every week of February, Toshin has a talk and workshop.
And you should go to
I-
every week, guys. All right. Sorry.
Yes. On behalf of Toshin, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to give me this workshop again. I also enjoyed earlier talk. Not gonna lie. Gives a new perspective. Gives a new fresh perspective, and masasabi nga natin we're lucky to have props like si Sir Chua kanina kasi he paved us a way na hindi tayo pababayaan na to be used by black companies in Japan basically. Lol.
Well, we were happy to have you. And thank you for giving that presentation as well. Especially when you put it together with the last presentation, I think we've gotten a really good look at how creatives work in these sorts of industries, especially with commissions and that kind of thing.
True.
But with that, I would like to hand the floor over to Kulai to go over our media sponsors.
Yes, so before we wrap things up, we'd like to thank our media sponsors, arcademac.com, Tomasian Nihon Kyokai, the Reimaru Files, Mokoa Animation, Otaku Play PH, and Red Cloud Interactive.
Thank you to these special sponsors of ours. Can't do it without them. Well, maybe we could, but that's beside the point. Special thanks to them. Of course, can't stress that enough. And with that, I believe our second week is coming to a close. Do we have another? Yeah, we know we don't have another dog. Well,
not anymore till the next week, maybe?
We always have to say goodbye. But to all of you, the special members of the audience, we gotta say, we have another talk coming next week, and I hope to see you there. Maybe I won't be the host, but all the same, we've got some really special talks coming up. I believe we even have more in store the week after. And with that, I hope to see you all. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to close this kind of thing. So thank you. I hope you all have a lovely evening.
Thank you for sticking by.
Ontoshin. Otsutoshin.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good work, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for showing up. Tanoshimi.